we are going to move on to the next session, session 2, comparing scientific research experience in the Netherlands and Indonesia. And we've got 3 speakers. The first speakers will be medical doctor Awalia Febriana. Let me read her resume first. Right, okay. The next speaker will be medical doctor Awalia Febriana. Sri Awalia Febriana graduated from Faculty of Medicine, University Gadjah Mada in 1995. She completed MSc in Clinical Epidemiology degree in 2003 and became a certified dermatologist in 2005 at the same university, of course. Currently, she is a lecturer and researcher in Dermatology and Venereology Department of Gadjah Mada, and also a PhD student in Department of the Dermatology, Graduate School of Medical Science, University Medical Center Groningen. Currently, she is writing her dissertation on occupational skin diseases in leather and shoe manufacturing industry in Indonesia. I'll try to make a short summarize. On top of that, she received top publication award from Research Institute for Health Research in Groningen for 2 of her publications in 2012. She's also a reviewer for journals in occupational health and contact dermatitis. Without further ado, let me invite the next speaker.
Thank you very much for. Firstly, I would like to say thank you very much for the organizing committee to invite me to share my experience. Whether I feel that I'm still a young researcher, and also thank you very much that I can have this very good to me to talk with you, and I feel that my last 4 years is very it's very a big step for me in research and science, and because my opportunity to come here to the Netherlands and to experience many kind of research, whether is it the public health research, clinical research, and laboratory research. Okay. Okay, firstly, I would like to compare many things that involve with of the research, especially medical research in Indonesia and the Netherlands. And you know, the first one, the health problem or the health issue, it is our main benefit or our main advantage. That there are many kind of health problems in Indonesia. Start from the health problem like infectious disease. We still have infectious disease. We still have malnutrition. From the malnutrition until the obesity. We still have many degenerative disease also, and cancer, and also occupational health. It's really different if you can compare with the health problem in the Netherlands. And we can find many medical research on many medical topics in the Netherlands. Sometimes it's the topics that in Indonesia we call as dicari-cari. For example, like health problem. What is the stress? The comparison between the stress and the people with the pregnancy, something like that. It's very the things that's very dicari-cari. But we are in the we have very big problems that isn't very easier for me. For example, is it easier for us if we have an Indonesian health problem to be published in the international journal, because we are very different. But what happened that especially in the public health research, we can see it like this, and also the clinical research. Maybe in the public health is more in Indonesia, but in the clinical research, we can see that this is my pictures when I was still slimmer. Then in Indonesia, and we are working with the patient, with the occupational health patient, This is the comparison of, and this is also the, this one is a problem that in the laboratory or molecular research, we are very left behind with the Netherlands or other European country. So that's why every other problem and laboratory research always done in here for most of the study or most of the head research which be published in the international journal. Because we are lack of everything, I will tell later. And especially for the research facility. This maybe is too much, but that's what's happened, what I'm doing in Indonesia. But actually there are still many nice laboratory, but I didn't have any picture of it. But we can see that, this when I would like to extract my shoe, because I have a problem with the shoe patient, and then I try to allergy to the shoe, and then I extract it in Indonesia, and then I bring it to the Netherlands. Okay, and this research grant, this is the research grant. It is a huge problem in Indonesia, but we still have many grant, which I also have an experience working as a PI or researchers, have the money of the Rijkuniversiteit, and this is very sad because in the Rijkuniversiteit almost 30% was, the money is not given to us first, and the second. They always concerned about the administrative things. Even we have to stay at the hotel in Bali for 2 days only for making how to make a budget or financial report. So it's very, very strange. And also I got the research of Dictee from Dictee. So all of my research here in the Netherlands was funded by Dictee, but via my scholarship. It's very nice for me because the government. Because the Netherlands people that never ask me about how much money I have to pay for this. They are very trusted. And also there are many research from Department Kesehatan, and I also being as a PI many times as a research from the pharmaceutical industry. But the problem is most of the research which I have been done in Indonesia is a clinical trial phase 2. Almost of them. The clinical trial of phase 1, who developed the drug, who developed the cosmetic for make our skin brighter. As is always done in here, but the clinical trial, many times I did it in Indonesia because, something like the problem. But we know in the Netherlands, I was very lucky because firstly, part of my publication is for the laboratory research. I was done in here and also in Malmo, Sweden, and I work a lot with the researcher here to gain a lot of experience here for the laboratory research. But I also have an experience to work with my colleague here in the Netherlands for Soenarto. So they do a research with the funding for Soenarto. So we make many kind of research here. But the most important thing that I found here, most easier than Indonesia, is firstly, they have a very good medical database or medical record. So based on the patient, which is we have research based on the patient, it's very easy here to find the medical research via internet and also the pictures. But when I was in Indonesia, I always come to the very small room and I have to, have a lot of dust particle coming into my nose, but I'm not the allergy, so it's okay. But in here, we just open the database, and also the important thing, they have a very good networking or collaboration with other European countries. So I can still find data from other European countries. And the other one is very easy for me here. I can go to find the patient. When I do a PET test to find a patient, I can go to Wibowo and SNL and I just find the patient. But in Indonesia, I have to I have to go by my car with my benzene, and then I ask, what is the price, something like that. Yeah, just the things that I know. And there are other things. And this is the profile from the from the research profile at University of Groningen. We saw that we have 50.6 million euro per year grants for EU and NWO only for the Groningen. It's very nice. And also for the industry, we have still 95.8 million euro per year. And we can say that we have 8 patents per year. And also we have the world's publication, 3,248 publication only for Groningen. And we can see this that also the publication in Nature and Science, which is one of our audience is the author in the Nature and Science. And then also the medical database, as I already told you, and expert conversation, and the important things also the research networking and others. So I think it's very nice. And also the medical ethics committee is the same. And this is the publication that we have, the comparison of the publication. And I think the conclusion of my research talk here is I really very benefit and I'm very fortunate to feel the research experience here. And it's very nice for me that from my research, PhD research, I can gain many collaboration with other scientists from European country or international country, and which will be developed for the next few years in Indonesia. Okay, thank you very much.
What an inspiring compare and contrast, right? Okay, let me invite the second presenter. That is Adji Kusworo. And let me briefly read his resume. Adji Kusworo is a senior lecturer in the Department of Social Development and Welfare, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences at University Gadjah Mada. He is currently writing a dissertation. Could I have your attention, please? Thank you very much. He is currently writing a dissertation in the Department of Spatial Planning and Environment, Faculty of Spatial Sciences, Groningen University. His dissertation is on institutional entrepreneurship and poverty alleviation through tourism. Upon his graduation from the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, UGM, in 1988, he was recruited as a young lecturer at his alma mater. He was awarded the Indonesian-Netherlands Association Scholarship for his master at Leisure and Tourism, Wageningen University, the Netherlands. Completing MSc in 1998, he went back to UGM, joining the Center for Tourism Studies and establishing the postgraduate program for tourism. He's been working in managerial and academic research activities. His interest is on tourism, social development, and welfare, inclusively institutional entrepreneurship. On top of that, he has written articles on these fields for seminars, trainings, and other publications. Without further ado, please let me invite the next speaker. Please come here.
Thank you very much for the organizing committee for inviting me in a very valuable meeting today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang menjelang sore. As you might know, this is what we call in Japanese word, bubu. And I know that this thing, can be found almost every place in Indonesia. And I got this picture from Mas Acul Island in Lombok. This is bubu. This is how the traditional way to get fish. So I would like to share about fishing. So there is a fish, of course, and this is the bubu, the tools, and of course there is sea or river or whatever. So there is three things in doing research. Today I'm going to talk about. Later I'm going to talk about the fish because this is related to research on tourism or whatever. And you all have your own fish. But I'm going to talk about the context where we can get the fish. Yeah, this is the fact. First, today's research practice is mostly based on the Western scientific tradition. What you can say? You can say fortunately, but at the same time you can say unfortunately, but this is the fact. The second is there are gaps in complying the scientific tradition due to the story of the two nations. When I was asked to try to find the comparison between doing research in Indonesia and the Netherlands, I have to think about these two very important points in my opinion. So first is today's traditional research is based on the Western scientific tradition, and the second is there are gaps. Okay. I would like to invite you to talk about the context. Relating to what I said at the beginning, in Indonesia, we face what we call heterogeneities. There are huge variation in terms of many things. While here in the Netherlands, we see what we call homogeneous. We can see many physical appearance whenever we go to the city or whatever. So it is related to maybe the geographical thing or whatever. But this is very important thing. And here in Netherlands, we witness the written tradition, while in Indonesia we are spoken tradition. And related to what I said, in Indonesia, we just have a very short research practice experiences. While here in Netherlands, long research practice experiences. Of course, this is related to what I've been said. And talking about the issue, as Bu Yati mentioned, we got a very, very numbers potential issue that can be potentially a fish. In Indonesia, it's like unclear, as mentioned before, and here clear. It's related to the complex and the simple one on the basis of the provision of data. This is not really related to the fish, but how we can see the fish. Institution, I do agree with Pak Hari. In the Netherlands, there is a clear, detailed function and structure. Who is going to be responsible for doing this research? And as consequences, rigid. Everything is regulated. But in Indonesia, like what has been said, it's unclear, general function and structure, and this must be fortunate, as we can learn from Bu Yati. There is always a room as far as we are flexible. See? And strategy, of course. We learn a lot from Bu Yati, how he become individual entrepreneur and innovator. In this case, research entrepreneurship is very important. Well, here everything is depend on the structure, the organization. So Indonesia, how we deal individually with many challenges in doing research is very, very important. But here everything is written in organization task over there. And yeah, I just want to come back. Sorry. Yeah. Here, at this point, I don't want to make a judgment whether this condition is better or not. There's always a room to get something from these two conditions. But then, if I come to how to make judgment upon how I can get the fish, then at least I feel that three things is important for me doing research here. Information technology system, like Mbak Lia said before, it is very easy to trace the history of a patient, whatever, because of this information technology system. You may know it is very easy to get information through library system, whatever. we can just ask for a book here, while maybe just put it back in another place. It is very, very easy, and academic environment is also a good, because I feel that in Gajah Mada University, for example, it is very difficult to invite colleagues from other department, from other faculty to work together on the basis of the wall, on the official segregation. But I think it is better to just try to be open-minded, inviting other perspective, even to work in certain topic. And this is very related to my work. This is tourism related, and in Indonesia, tourism is placed as a tool of economic development, and the consequences is research on receiving, developing an indicator for economic development, whatever. It's very important. While here, tourism is seen as a tool of human development, and the consequences is sending is much more important. And now I'm trying to convince myself and others working in tourism that tourism is not only related to economic thing, but also the human development as such. We tend to put the cultural issue, social issue, psychological issue, even religious issue as the consequences of economic obsession. The idea of developing tourism in Indonesia is mostly how to get money from others. But we all are tourists, but who care? The state doesn't care. We all are learning how to be tourists by ourselves. And I'm trying to convince myself using this new paradigm to put tourism as not only as tool for economic development, but as at the same time tools for cultural, social, psychological, even religious aims for the sake of human development. In this challenge, I think we are going to have very, very potential tools, in fact. And I hope that we can get the fish at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'd like to leave the questions and answer session at the end of these three presentations. So let me invite the final speaker for this second session, and that is Mr. Richo. Did I pronounce it correctly? Richo Andri Wibowo. Okay, and currently he is currently a PhD candidate in the Institute of Constitutional and Administrative Law, Utrecht University. He's also a lecturer in the Faculty of Law, Gajah Mada University in Yogyakarta. Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention, please? Thank you very much. He did his bachelor degree in law in Faculty of Law, Islamic University of Indonesia in the same city. He completed Master of Law, or the LLM, at School of Law, Utrecht University in 2008. He started his PhD in 2012, which is last year. His top publication include contributing one chapter, reading the law in Legal Skills Book, UGM University of Maastricht, contributing one chapter of privatization law, comparison between Greece and Indonesia, what is the role of CSR, in the book CSR in Indonesia, writing articles in several journals in Indonesia, as well as opinions in several regional and national newspapers. Mr. Richo Andri Wibowo also involved in legal advisor team ad hoc in several local governments and a ministry. His research interests include legal aspects on public procurement, good governance, eradication, bureau pathology, legal philosophy and social legal theory. Without further ado, the time is yours. Please come forward.
Supposed to say nuwun sewu because I also been already. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to share my experience about comparing legal research in Indonesia and Netherlands. So this is my outline structures of this PowerPoint. First time, at the beginning I would like to share snapshots in Indonesian aspects, Netherlands, and then after that findings. And then I will address the questions, benchmarking or self-contemplating, and then at the final I would like to share my opinion about the initiative that we can conduct. So I fully agree with the previous speakers that said we have a talent more on speech rather than in writing. So it's also mentioned by Andrea Hirata. Yeah. We as Malays talent more on speaking, not writing. And then on the second part, that's one part. In the second part, these first points will be related to the second points. That we will less clear in visualizing our idea. And it will become to the third point. Because we aware that we are not clear enough in writing, then we are reluctant to share our findings of our research. That's why sometimes there are some researchers already happy with only producing the research paper without publishing it. But that's only one possibility. We have also another possibility. I sincerely apologize. It is called by I raise questions, or it is a part of intellectual masturbation. This is not my word actually. Yeah. This is Pak Heru Nugroho. This is his professor inauguration speech as a professor of sociology in the University of Gajah Mada in 2012. He said that he criticized very hard his colleague, or also, not only in UGM but also in other university, that they try to produce, they try to conduct their research, and then it is interviewed by their colleague, and then after that it is published by their own journals, and then after that they read by themselves. And he said that this is intellectual masturbation. That's number 3. And number 4, due to these problems, the result cannot be validated or cannot be referred, because it will be very hard for us to find the previous research result. It is not online. It is not. It is hard to find it. And all of these problems, strengthening the problems in here, the fragile foundation for the knowledge. Okay. Oh. Yeah. That's cultural problems, and we have also structural problems. In some institutions, we have problems in seeking the data, so we can compare it in DPR, KPK, and Statoil. Yeah, I conducted three examples. In DPR, it is really hard for get data, and it is also highlighted by Indonesian Institute. He claimed also that that's same problems. Yeah. And because it's hard to entering some institutions, some researchers also reluctant to give their research result to give feedback to that institutions, that object. because they are afraid that they will not obtain permission in the future. And some of also researchers also have a pre-assumption that the research will not be read or considered. So it highlights our problems that we have a trust as a problem. So according to I'm a Simmelian, George Simmel, he has mentioned that trust acts as the bridge between the known and the to become known. There are no trust each other, so we never obtain the bridge. That's the problem. So in a bigger picture, it reflects that we have some problems that already mentioned, and we can also already see the effects. But the correlation between cause and effect is not linear. It's not one way. But the causes also causes that makes effects, and effects strengthening the causes itself, and it will become a loop that become the highest of our problems. Well, actually, in Netherlands, in my opinions, they don't have that researchers have more self-esteem, so they share their ideas, they try to obtain data, they try to share their findings, research. The government are also more open, so some of problems that already highlights before is not happening here. But we do share similar problems. Not in Indonesia, not only in Indonesia, but also in here. We usually are taught to break apart problems, to fragment the world. So we lose our intrinsic sense of connection to a larger whole. So he said that we try to reassemble the segments, and therefore the task is future. So we sometimes we research some problems, but the problems is not the real problems, the root cause. It is only the surface. Now, but however, even though we share some problems, it seems that Indonesia suffered more. So, for instance, I would like to compare SIAR. In SIAR is intellectual property rights in Utrecht School of Law. They try to examine how if a robot if robot conducted a medical aspects to give a judgment or to operate or something, and the results is not as good as the predictions, will it be the legal responsibility that is caused by that problems? It is bear by the robots, by the doctors, or by the people that use that robots? Okay, so that's kind of collaboration that conducted in here. Well, we still have a lot of, but I already remind by timekeepers. I think what we should do is contemplating, suggestion to contemplate. Yeah? Because, yeah. This is the most important thing. There is no outside. According to Peter Senge, there is no outside. You and the cause of your problems are part of single system. So, I think what we should do is we should not always. We are requested to make a contemplations, but what is actually happening in the outsides and how we deal with it. Because there is no outside. There is no enemy outsides. If no enemy within, there is no problems in outsides, according to Peter Senge. Yeah. And one we should, I would like to share, can you remember, but the easy way out usually leads back in. Also, Peter Senge. So every single solution that we address, when it looks very easy to be implemented, then probably it will result in leads back in previously. Well, because my time is up, so thank you very much for your attention.
Just in time. Thank you very much for the condensed presentations. Right, okay. Before we've got a time for having audience Q&A, I would like to sum up from these three presentators. To be honest with you, this is a great ideas to highlight the importance of comparing, making a good comparison and contrast between Indonesia and the Netherlands, but not also in the Netherlands, but also Europe in the whole, if you like, or the standardized academic, international academy. Because basically when we talk about Europe, we've got Western Europe, we've got Eastern European countries, we've got Southern Europe, and each of those, they've got a different mentality and different approach, if you like, okay? For example, with my background in the UK, sometimes I still have to confront some I call it bureaucracy mentality from my Dutch colleague compared to the British one, but never mind. But the good thing is each of these presentations, they touch the important point on the building blocks of doing a high quality research, particularly collaborations and connection, networking, as well as academic writing. And touch on that point, IPR is one of the important issues, intellectual property rights. And I always say to my students, rather than you have to dwell on your thesis or dissertation later on, get it written rather than get it right. The more you've got this kind of academic skill in writing, the more you'll get used to it. And that is important for all these scientists, because nevertheless, how good is your research? If you cannot disseminate your research, what's the point? Simple as that. Because research is always about dissemination, is collaborating, and nowadays in Europe and also in North America, the trend basically is multidisciplinary actions. Okay? I do like the metaphor used by Adji, using a fish and boo-boo, and hopefully each of you here eventually will get your fish. Okay? And definitely a very good presentation from Ibu Awalia, making a good comparison between medical research, lab work in the Netherlands as well as Indonesia. But I hope that you're not losing your confidence and your hopes regardless of what happens in Indonesia while you're back to Indonesia. That's my remarks. And